Hey, my pals, how you doing? It is the showstopper, Mr. Leopard, and I'm happy today on the 1st of March 2022 to share a lot of wisdom and knowledge together with you. Now, you know that I'm always the guy ahead of time talking about the things that are yet to come way before they come. And today I'm here to tell you about what is yet to come, the direction that we are taking, and the fulcrum around which we are working. Now, the future is having its fulcrum around the handshake, the ideology of the handshake. And the ideology of the handshake is very simple. It was Raila Odinga telling Uhuru Kenyatta, you see what, you have run country in this manner for far too long, but now I am prescribing a different vision altogether. I'm prescribing a different way of dealing with our disagreements. And according to Raila Odinga, the disagreement was simple, that we do not have an identity as a Kenyan people, and that is something that we need to agree on. And so the existing identities in us is our communities. And so if we are able to embrace and celebrate the diversity of our communities and bring everyone on board in one form and one shape or another, then the country will be more stable. And so that is the vision. That is the trajectory. The country is being built on the Raila Odinga trajectory. It is not even much about the parliamentary system of government. Give and take, that is really what's going to happen, because I've already said elsewhere, and I'll be concluding on that. Now, in order for me to justify the vision that I am painting to you, that the country is going into the Raila Odinga vision, a vision which Uhuru Kenyatta agreed with and has been embracing, because he is now the epitome of that particular vision and taswira. I need to explain these by, first of all, making certain assumptions and then justifying those assumptions, and then you will understand me. So the first assumption is that I have already made certain predictions, and if these predictions are anything to go by, then the future that I paint is the idealism that the country is headed to. So fast forward. The first prediction that I made was, so how about I just be quick about this one? I've already predicted about the BBI ruling, and have said that reggae will be back, reggae shall continue, and reggae will either be decided on 4-3 or 5-2. Whichever way, the end result is the same. Reggae will be back. So that's the first assumption, that the prediction that I made about BBI happens. Now, the second prediction that I have made before, and it is another assumption which I have been vindicated over time, is the Kalonzo Musyoka factor. That I told you that using psychology and communications, I was able to put together a trajectory of where Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka was going and why. And I have been vindicated on this one, that Kalonzo Musyoka is firmly in Azimio. Now, there are those who may argue and say that as of yesterday, they were not able to sign the Azimio deal with Oka because one Moses Kuria, was playing hard to get. Now, let me do the easier one, and then I will do the expanded. The easier one is to say that Moses Kuria is a non-starter in this particular equation. He cannot claim that he will make the grand sway in Mount Kenya to the extent that his word will override the word of the president today. And he has already shown that, William Ruto has been negotiating with parties from Uganda. And so he is waiting for his turn for Kenyan parties to be engaged. So at best, Moses Kuria will be left out. The rest of the Oka players will tell Moses Kuria that if you're playing hard to get, then so be it. Of course, Moses Kuria is trying to get a cut for himself. He knows very well that he cannot claim that he's the one who's going to deliver Mount Kenya. He knows very well that with Martha Karua right there and Uhuru at the helm of it, he cannot claim by himself that he is going to do the magic. And so he either ships in or ship out. And if he does not cooperate, then Kalonzo, Martha Karua, and the rest of Oka are going to tell him, to hell with you, it is our way or the highway. That's a prediction that you can take to the bank. So, given that I have already stood by my prediction that Kalonzo Musyoka is going Azimio, I need to justify. Let me justify why Kalonzo Musyoka and Oka is in Azimio by force and at zero option. It is because too much water has already gone under the bridge, especially within the hands, the estate of the president. And let me make it very clear. You need to go back and carefully read the resolution of Jubilee. Go even on YouTube and just check out for the resolutions of Jubilee NDC. Resolution number 4 and resolution number 5 were very specific. Of course, number 6 too. So number 4 said that the decisions of the governing council to endorse the candidate of Azimio One Kenya is hereby approved by the NDC. Underline, Azimio One Kenya. It was not the candidate of Jubilee. It was not the candidate of Azimio that was endorsed at the NDC. It was the candidate of Azimio One Kenya. That is what was read. So you cannot tell me that a whole NDC of the president, with the best brains that the president can borrow from, will make that kind of a declaration without a lot of groundwork and a lot of, consultation and a lot of concurrence having been arrived at. Resolution number 5. The resolution number 5 was that they are mandating the party and the party leader to go and, pull up and cooperate with other parties and do, cooperation and do a deal with other parties that are like-minded to the aspirations of Jubilee. So that is technically to mean that, first of all, the candidate, they didn't say Raila Odinga because Raila Odinga was now the candidate of Azimio. First of all, candidate of ODM and then candidate of Azimio, which is all these other parties. And Amason Kingi told us that he came on board knowing that he was going to endorse Raila Odinga. So all the parties of Jubilee and the affiliates, which is Amason Kingi, Lonyanga Post Party, Ukuri Yatan Party, who have actually ceded their allegiance to Uhuru Kenyatta, together with ODM having endorsed Raila Odinga already, now want to partner with Oka. And they say that they are allowing their party to go into negotiations and eventually give us Azimio One Kenya. Underline, that resolution was read as Azimio One Kenya. That cannot be by coincidence, that cannot be an afterthought, and that cannot be swept under the carpet. But the justification, solid, the justification completion of all this is Kalonzo Musyoka himself. And listen to his words. So he says he is willing to come on board. We cannot afford to lose this election. He will do everything possible to make sure it happens. And then number 2, he says, Kingi came ready to endorse a candidate. Relax. That relax is simply to buy his constituency, to buy his people to come on board, for his people to believe that he could actually be the candidate. Kalonzo Musyoka cannot be the candidate because of many reasons. Number 1, and it clears and cleans the whole slate, it is a 3-legged stool as presented to us by Kalonzo Musyoka himself. It is ODM, it is Oka, and now Jubilee. 2 things. If we go by the Kalonzo Musyoka statement, which is Jubilee, Oka, and ODM, ODM and Jubilee are a supermajority. So 2 out of 1, definitely, the Raila Odinga card wins. But then there is something that Kalonzo Musyoka does not envisage, does not see, and does not present. We have Maendeleo Chap Chap, we have Charity Ngilu's NAC Rainbow, we have Kivuda Kibwana's party, we have DAP, the Eugene Wamalwa party from Western Kenya. These parties are in Azimio. They have not ceded their alliance and allegiance to Uhuru Kenyatta. They have not ceded their allegiance to ODM. Wafula Ominyinyi, who is the party leader of DAP, clearly tells us that our party has already endorsed Raila Odinga. ODM has already endorsed Raila Odinga. Ngilu's party has already endorsed Raila Odinga. Chap Chap has already endorsed Raila Odinga. Kibwana's party has already endorsed Raila Odinga. What does that mean? What that means is that it will take something more than triple a miracle to make Kalonzo Musyoka the candidate. Yet Kalonzo Musyoka is already ndani. So Kalonzo Musyoka now becomes your next bait into what a running mate will be, or what maybe a prime minister would be. And Kalonzo finally says and proposes to the president, and the 6th resolution of Jubilee makes the president the party leader for the next 5 years. Never mind that they diluted the position of deputy party leader into 4 party leaders. That is okay. But now, Kalonzo Musyoka says, and I am requesting the president to lead that coalition. That is to mean Kalonzo Musyoka is okay to come into Azimio. The only difference is that he would rather trust the president than trust Raila to lead that particular process because of the past, but also it is because of what he would need to tell his people. That you've been telling us all along that Raila cannot be trusted. What has changed? He will then tell them that it is not Raila spearheading the talks, it is the president spearheading the talks, and I trust the president. What does that mean? What that means is that this game is locked completely. Azimio One Kenya is locked. It is bound to deliver. And the president is in this to win. Let me explain about the president. The president is actually running in this particular election. He is running not as a candidate. And he is not running because he really wants to run, but he is running because of two reasons. He is running because, number one, and the primary reason, is because the handshake was meant to, just like the Reconciliation Accord of 2008, give back into the Prime Minister. Raila Odinga was supposed to be appointed Prime Minister 2 years into the Uhuru presidency. Raila Odinga was supposed to go home together with Uhuru Kenyatta, having served as Prime Minister, and them having united to form the face of Kenya. But because that did not happen and Rege was postponed, Uhuru Kenyatta is running not as a candidate, but he is running together with Raila to make sure that the vision they envisaged gets to become a reality. And Raila Odinga by himself may find it difficult to execute it. And so the president is giving him his support to make sure they execute it. Because by so executing, that is the only way Uhuru Kenyatta cements his legacy. And that is the only way Uhuru Kenyatta gets to achieve what his people have been angling for. They have been angling for power at the helm of it. But now their quest for power with two candidates, Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta, being contested in 3 successive elections, now the Mount Kenya guys realize that they have been angling for presidency, but because they got the presidency anyway, they could not fight for equitable allocation of resources. And then they have a problem with equal representation, what they now call one man, one vote, one shilling, which is both equal representation and equitable distribution of resources. So that being the case, Uhuru Kenyatta must run. Uhuru Kenyatta must be actively involved. Uhuru Kenyatta must be a candidate not on paper. Uhuru Kenyatta must run for his people, must convince his people that he has their best interest at heart, and he must solve that or the community will never forgive him for that. So Uhuru Kenyatta must run so that he eventually brings Mount Kenya into government. He eventually enables Mount Kenya to win their argument of one man, one shilling, one vote. Of course, I've already said that BBI is still here. But the other reason why Uhuru Kenyatta is running, and he must run in this particular election, is because William Ruto decided to bastardize him. William Ruto decided to mock him. William Ruto decided to invade his bedroom and tell the Mount Kenya people that I am your father. And Uhuru Kenyatta has said that, well, for the Kikuyus in the Rift Valley, if you want to work with William Ruto for your own convenience, political convenience, so be it. But as for Mount Kenya, I must chase out William Ruto. I must smoke him out and show him to his face that I am the king when it comes to central Kenya politics. Of course, we know that places like Nakuru, Governor Lee and many other people within Nakuru County and within Rift Valley are angling towards Jubilee. And Mandago told us that he won his election because NASA supported him by opposing the candidate of William Ruto, who was Buseki, and NASA is the one that made him win his second term. So even in the Rift Valley, including Uasin Gishu, take it to the bank that Uhuru Kenyatta still has a say, and NASA combined with the little say of Uhuru Kenyatta out there, they will still make it. But what did I say? I said the country is headed the visionary direction of Raila Odinga, which is simply put in 3 points. Number one, a unified government where everybody is part of that bus, is part of that big bus, where we have a president from one community, Raila Odinga, a deputy president who is Kalonzo Musyoka, where then we have a prime minister who will most definitely come from central Kenya. If that person will not be Amos Kimunya, I will go to the ODM delegation that Raila Odinga invited all the luminaries, all the key figures, Uhuru Kenyatta, Charity Ngilu, Chap Chap, Kibwana, and all, and the Wiper representatives who was Chirao Ali Mwakwere, ambassador, and then Gideon Moy, and who is the other person that he called? He called Peter Kenneth. Peter Kenneth would have been Raila Odinga's pick for a running mate, and I have already said this before. But the coming in of Kalonzo Musyoka actually means that Kalonzo Musyoka is going to be your running mate for this particular election, and Jubilee will be given the premier slot. The prime minister will come from Jubilee, and that will be Amos Kimunya, or it will be Peter Kenneth if at all he runs as MP for Gatanga, cause BBI proposes that the prime minister shall be an elected member of parliament from the majority coalition. So that is the vision. And then the deputy prime minister, so we will have one deputy prime minister, and I can actually go by David Murathe's speech, which said that Musalia Mudavadi will be the other deputy prime minister, and Moses Wetangula will be the Speaker of the National Assembly. I could easily buy that Uhuru Kenyatta himself is likely to reach out to Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, but let that be discussion for another day. The point is that is how government will be formed. But the other version of it is that now you see people like Oparanya who served as governors, people like Chap Chap who have served as governors, people like Ali Hassan Joe who served as governors, and many others. These will now be the people who will be appointed as cabinet secretaries. And then now the entire government, right from the ministers to the executive, they will say, that minister is from our community. They'll say that prime minister is from our community. The deputy prime minister is from our community. The speaker is from our community. The deputy president is from our community. And according to Raila's vision, that is how you unify country. And because the Mount Kenya are now trapped that they cannot present a candidate today, yet they now realize that they have been disenfranchised by representation and equitable allocation of resources, they have no choice. And Uhuru is pulling them by their dresses and saying, you must join in this vision for our future. Of course, BBI was allocating a lot of constituencies to them, so they will still have their say in terms of representation, but at the end of it all, it will be the Raila vision for the future. And some of these guys like Mandago, who has been a governor, is now running to be senator. So you will find people who have been governors now running to be senators. That would make the Senate to be the total upper house, because the people who have done devolution and implemented it are now coming to the Senate to argue the case for devolution, to protect that devolution from experience, to protect that devolution from a hands-on experience. And that is the future that Raila Odinga presents. That is the future that Azimio One Kenya presents. That is the future that even Uhuru Kenyatta, the current president, has already bought into and is seeking to have as much stake in government so that he can lead his people into that particular vision. And whose vision was it? It was Raila Odinga's vision, shared with Uhuru Kenyatta, who agreed with it. He changed how government is supposed to be done. He went and developed the rest of the country and then came back to develop Mount Kenya at the tail end of it. And he is telling them that you have no choice. You must support Raila Odinga so that he can complete these projects that I just began the other day, the Mau Mau Road and all that, like mega projects. And that's the future that I bring you. That's the future that I present to you. That's the future that I paint as I let you know that Raila Odinga will be the candidate of Azimio One Kenya. The running mate will be Kalonzo Musyoka. Moses Kuria is a non-entity in all these. He better shapes up, and if he does not shape up, then Oka, as currently constituted with Gideon Moy and the rest, they will throw him out of that particular coalition. And then at the end of it all, it will be the same end result. And Uhuru Kenyatta is running not as a candidate, but he is running because he has been forced by circumstances to be a major player, and he will be a major player. He said it in the ODM that the same way Raila Odinga gave him advice and supported him without demanding for part of the government, Uhuru Kenyatta will demand part of the government for his people, but will be offering his unconditional support and unconditional political mileage to Raila Odinga administration to make sure that BBI is fully implemented. And who is better placed than Raila Odinga himself to implement BBI? It is the showstopper, always ahead of time, painting the picture for you than you will never find anywhere else. God bless you. Maybe the next commentary I'll comment about Ruto's trip in the US, but then I think that's enough for today. God bless you. See ya. And I love you, man.